Mr. Speaker, I rise tonight to pay tribute to one of the finest public servants that I've ever known, Congressman Henry Hyde. Henry passed away last week, and before I begin my own remarks, I want to offer a couple of comments on behalf of Congressman Jesse Jackson, Jr., who for family reasons is not able to be here, but asked me to offer these remarks on his behalf. And he was a good friend of Congressman Hyde, someone from the other side of the aisle, but someone from our Illinois delegation. And he wanted me to express his feelings that Henry was not only a good friend to him, but he was a great American, someone who loved America and someone who really made the world a better place, someone who Congressman Jackson, Jr. called a friend. I offer those remarks on behalf of Congressman Jesse Jackson, Jr. Henry made a difference. When I was asked by a reporter recently what I'll remember about him is, and what I said is that many of us come to this place with the idea that we can make a difference. Henry Hyde made a difference. He made a difference in the lives of the people that he represented, not just in his congressional district and not just in Illinois, but in the country and in the world. He distinguished himself by serving as chair of two committees, the Judiciary Committee and the International Relations Committee. During deliberations of some very, very serious legislation, Henry Hyde had the ability to change people's minds. That's almost unheard of around here. People come to the well of the House almost always knowing how they're going to vote on a particular bill. But whether it was the flag amendment, whether it was term limits, which was a part of the contract with America in 1995, whether it was the Hyde Amendment, which protected so many lives for so many unborn, whether it was impeachment or whether it was expansion of O'Hare Airport, Henry Hyde had the ability to come to this floor and persuade his colleagues of his point of view. He had a very, very uncanny ability to do that because of his intelligence, because of the way that he presented himself, and because of the respect that the members of this body had for this great man. He did make a difference. And he did it with the highest level of civility and dignity. He brought great honor, great dignity to this institution by his presence, the way he conducted his arguments on the great debates of the day. And I have no doubt that people did change their votes and change their mind, particularly on term limits. He made some very compelling arguments, and particularly on the flag amendment, he made some very compelling arguments, and over a long period of 30 years, 3 decades, on the Hyde Amendment. And even though the impeachment proceedings were very controversial, people respected the way that Henry Hyde conducted those proceedings as chairman of the Judiciary Committee, in a very honorable way, in a very civil way. And even those on the other side who did not agree with the impeachment proceedings, they agreed that Henry Hyde conducted it with the highest level of honesty, integrity, and civility that you can bring to this chamber. Every third Thursday of each month that we're in session, our delegation, which now numbers 21, counting our 2 U.S. senators, 19 members, and 2 U.S. senators, have lunch together. We used to gather in Speaker Hastert's office, and now we gather in Senator Durbin's office. And before every delegation lunch, we could always count on Henry Hyde to tell at least 1 or 2 very, very funny stories. He was a great storyteller, and he loved to tell stories. I'll never forget almost a year ago, when Henry would come in the chamber as we were departing for the final votes, and he was in a wheelchair because of his back problems, and announced to all of us over there in that part of the chamber that just a few weeks before that, about a year ago, he wed his chief of staff of 35 years, and he was very, very happy. And they were going to move back to Geneva, Illinois, which is a suburban part of Chicago, west of Chicago, and they were going to live happily ever after in Geneva, Illinois, which is a beautiful part of the world on the Fox River. When President Bush announced that he was going to give Henry Hyde the Presidential Medal of Freedom, I tried to call him and was not able to reach him. I did send him a note, but I know how proud he was. Of all of the awards and accolades that he received, I know that he was proudest of this Presidential Medal of Freedom because it is the highest civilian award that the President of the United States can give to any person. And I know how proud Henry was of that. So as a member from Illinois who has served with Henry now during my 13 years and as former Chief of Staff to Bob Michel, it is difficult to think that Henry Hyde is gone. But he will be long remembered for his civility, the dignity, the high honor that he brought to the job and to the debates of very controversial issues, and was still able to maintain the collegiality of every member of this body, both Democrats and Republicans. A great lesson for all of us and a great example for all of us of how we should treat one another and how we should conduct the debates, even when there are great differences and great opportunities for divide on these issues. Henry stands as a lasting example. He will be remembered that you can make a difference on important issues and during debate. We honor his memory tonight, which will be long remembered throughout the history of the House of Representatives. Godspeed, Henry Hyde. I yield back.